Hi, everyone. Welcome to Live with Janome. I think I'm about a minute early, so I'm going to hang out here for just a moment. I do have my comments up, so we can check over there, and I'll put the camera on. There we go. Hi, everybody. So welcome to Live with Janome. I'm Ann Hine, Embroidery Software Specialist for Janome America, and today we're talking about, especially for those of you who are trying the software for the first time, fun things you can do in the software. And I picked out a selection of things for you to try that I think you're going to really enjoy. One of them, I don't know if you have a digital cutter. Let's see, it's on this side. Here we go. I'm going to stand up so you can see this. This is a little image I made in the software. And I think, let me see where my little piece is. And then I took it to my digital cutter and I cut it out of this iron-on heat set vinyl and put it on my jacket. And then I have, let's see if I can turn around the whole way. I don't know if I can show you the back. There we go. So I put some on the back as well. And there we go. Okay. All right, everybody. And then we're going to talk a little bit about applique. We're going to talk a little bit about paint stitch. I don't know if anybody has checked out paint stitch, the things you can do with paint stitch. It's a little bit of thread work. Look at that. This is like a little pin that I made that I put a little beading on there. Some fun things that you can do with that. So I have a couple things I want to show you, and hopefully we'll get to all of them. If you have questions, go ahead and post them. Hi, Marty. Welcome. All right, so let's see what we have out there. We got quite a few people. I'll go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put the software on and then talk about a few things from there. All right, let me go back here and get the right page. There's that, and I'll get this out of the way. I guess it's asking me these weird things. Weird questions are coming up. I don't know why. Okay, so here we are in the software. Let me go to the welcome page, because typically when you open the software, this is what it looks like. It doesn't have this hanging out over here. I don't know why this happens to me. My colors sometimes pop over here. I'm seeing if I can get them to, maybe they'll close now. There we go. All right, so you should have your video tutorials on the right-hand side, any of your recent things in the center, and then different ways to open the program over here on the left side. On the left side. So, and you can see I've been working on a couple of different things in here that I'll be showing as we go along. Maybe not today, but in some of the other things. If you're interested in this design here, these are little button covers that I made. I did share that with Janome. So if you go to the Janome webpage, there's some free designs there, and you can download that. There's one of them, and then you just change it's two colors layered, so you'll be able to create those if you want to. So there's other things down here that I might have worked on in the past, month or so down in here. Okay. Well, Marty, I don't know why some days it works and some days it doesn't. It's amazing. Last week I couldn't even get it to go on Facebook, and then I had to post it separately from there. But anyways, oh well. All right, so let me go ahead. I'm going to open, I'm going to start with a new page right here, create new. And then I'm going to do a quick applique, because a lot of times, even if you're going to do a cut file for your cutting machine, you might be doing it with an applique. Maybe you're doing an applique and you want to cut the fabric, or maybe you're just going to use it to cut vinyl and things like that. So when you have your page open, I'm going to go up under Tools, which you can't see in mine, but the window will pop down, and Insert Symbol. And then in here, there's a couple of different ones. I'm actually going to pull out two. One is this little heart right here, and I'm going to use that for our applique. So I'm going to click and drag and put that here. And then the other one is, I think it's this flower here. I'm going to use that one and put that down here. That's kind of like the one that's on my shirt, not exactly the one that's on my Zip Up Today, because I got that a long time ago and I was looking for it today thinking like, where did I put it? But I'm not exactly sure. But these are all little things that you can use for appliques and stuff like that. And you might have a different set of them in your computer as well. So this is what's in here. Sometimes there's some other ones under, that was Webdings, maybe Wingdings has something that you want to work with in here. So you can see all of those. All right, so let's start with the heart, and we're going to do just a quick applique with this. Now, when I clicked and dragged and brought it in, it does have a fill and an outline. And when you're using the applique feature, I have to turn my properties on. So up here in the gray area, I'm going to right-click Properties and right-click again, Colors. And then I'm going to drag these over here to the center like this. And see, my properties just turn darker gray. When they're dark gray, I let go. And then I can see properties and colors right there. It's like a little dance you have to do. And so with a fill, this is where your applique shows up right here. So I'm going to delete the outline because the applique feature will create its own outline. So we'll move in here close, and I'm actually going to change the color of this fill because I think this might show it a little bit better if we're like that. So you have your shape. All you have to do is click right here, and now you have your applique piece started. I'm going to zoom in close so you can see it. It auto sets it for a blanket stitch, but when you have it selected over here in your properties, you can pick any of these that you like. If you want to do fix a satin stitch, you can do that as well. That E-stitch is blanket stitch. If you want a zigzag, you can pick that as well. You can also go up under outline and you can choose a running stitch with a pattern like that if you'd like to do a pattern on there, and I'll back that up so you can see that. Pretty. So now I'm going to show you the slow redraw on this so you understand. I'm going to put it back to the fill, and I'm going to put it at satin stitch right here so we have that. The other thing is right here, your fabric trim. You can, a lot of times what we do now is we have a placement, a tack down, and then this final stitching, and we trim our fabric during the process. So you can do that. You can do a pre-cut with glue. You can do pre-cut with zigzag, pre-cut with E-stitch. That it will give you a pre-cut fabric for you. So if you picked zigzag, and then I'm going to turn on my techniques up at the top here, turn on cut and okay. And now I have down here my cutter. So it's going to actually make my cut file for me along with my applique. So I don't have to go back and remake that. And what this looks like in slow redraw, I'm going to bring it down here, is this. Now we did with a cut file attached. First, let me do it this way first. Let me do it during embroidery, so it'll show you the stops. Traditionally, we do it this way. So here it is, and I go to over here to slow redraw. This is a great way to see what's happening. And I'm going to start my stitching, and it's going to go around the heart, and it's going to do what looks like a jump stitch. So this is the placement, and then it jumps out. So what it does is it leaves you room now. It stops at this point, and you lay your fabric over this placement line, and then it's going to stitch again. It's not an actual stitch. It's called a jump out, and it's for embroidery, for applique. And now it's tacking down your fabric. And then once it gets all the way around, it'll jump again and that's where your machine will stop. And that way you can go ahead and trim the fabric. So there it's jumped up here to the top. This doesn't, none of this shows. This is just a spot for the machine to stop up here, and it will give you time for you to cut. It won't restart until you touch the stop start button on your machine. Now, on our newer Genomes, it reads the actual parts. So it'll say placement, tack down, and then it'll give you a color, so that the color is your final outline color. And then it'll just do all of that. That's the underlay, and then if I wanted, and then my satin on top of that. Now, if I chose the one of these over here, let's say zigzag, and then I went over here, and I'm also going to put a decorative stitch on there. And then I'm going to go back to my fill, go back over here to slow redraw, and we'll see what happens. So this is placement. And then it jumps out, and you would lay your piece of fabric on here. Maybe you put a fusible under it. Maybe you're using a little bit of glue stick to hold things down. And then it's going to start stitching a zigzag, because that's what you chose. You chose a zigzag, and then it's going to put the decorative stitch on top of that. So I would probably switch this out, because I don't want zigzag under there. What I would want is pre-cut with glue, and I think what it would do there is it's going to do the placement. You glue your thing down, and then it stitches. So what that means is, even with a satin stitch, if you wanted a satin outline and you picked pre-cut and zigzag, the tack down will be the zigzag stitch. I'll go back again to show you that. So you've combined two things there. Let's go back to slow redraw. Here's the placement, and then when it jumps up there, it stops, and then you'll lay your fabric, your shape right in here. If you're using a little sticky stabilizer, you know how you have the fusibles that are one side are stay a little tacky, you can put that down. Then it will zigzag that down, and once that's done, it'll do your finishing stitch on there. Now, where do you get that cut file? On your cut file, what you would do is, with me, I have a Artistic Edge cutter, but you could do the same thing with any other cutter. You're going to go up to File, Export, and you're going to go to Cutters. Now, if you haven't chosen a type of cut over there, then you won't see your cutter, or if you haven't turned on your techniques at the top, you won't see cutters. So I'm going to select cutter. These are the cutters that will connect to through your computer to your cutter automatically. If you have a scan and cut, or maybe you have a Cricut Maker, some of those other ones, you would pick one of these and save your SVG or your FCM, and then take it to a USB, export it to a USB stick, and then take it to your machine that way. I have the Artistic Edge, so I can just select there. I'm going to pretend to connect, and when it connects, this is where what it's going to look like when it cuts. And these little marks, this is where my cutter blade would start, and it's going to jump in here, and it would cut around my heart like that. Okay, I can put this little area thing anywhere around here, and that's where it will cut. So now what's nice is this design, when I go to save it to my computer, if I went back up to File and went to Save As, now I'm not going to use Save As when I use a USB stick. I'm going to always, whenever I'm taking it out of my computer, I want Export. Always use Export. When you do File, Save As, this is where you would save as your draw file. These are your editable files. So now when I save it here, I would name it, and it's going to be a draw file, and I could hit save. It will have that cut file in it all the time, so I don't have to recreate it. Now, if I go and I want to save it as a GIF as well, I can do a drop down and save it as a GIF. But I always save as a draw first, and then if I'm going to take it to a USB, or if I'm going to send it to my machine, I use the drop down right here. This is for exporting, and I can go to USB, wireless or cable. Now I have two machines that are wireless, so I could send it wirelessly. Okay, but always do save as for a draw. If you're taking it out of your computer, then you want to do export, file, export. All right. So if I went up here to file and export, it gives me those options right here to USB. Same thing, here's my USB. And it's going to prepare it. I'm going to say no right now at the moment because I don't want it to delete what's on there. And then, I don't think it does when it prepares it in here. I could name it, and you can see right here, it's a JPX. That is a JEF file with a graphic with it, or I could just do a JEF or a JEF Plus if that makes me nervous. I always do JPX. So it would go on my USB stick. So always remember that. If you're removing it from the computer, that's exporting. If you're saving it, that's where you want to put it in your computer. So you're going to do file, save as. Okay, so that's a quick applique. Now this little flower here, what I did for that for my jacket, we're going to go down here, kind of a simple thing like this. This design has the fill and the outline. I'm going to select it first, and I'm going to break it apart because I don't need all those parts. And I could use the whole thing if I wanted to. But I really, for a cut file, I really just need, when I select this part, I don't see my cut file over here. Under fill, okay? And I know I turned it on because under techniques, it's turned on. So your cutting isn't considered an outline. So you're going to find your cut feature right here. So I really don't need the fill. So what I'm going to do is select the whole thing again. And I'm going to come down here to the fill in the used box and click the X. There we go. And then, oh, maybe you guys can't see that because my little name thing is in the way. Hang on. Let me get that out of the way. There we go. This is the used colors right down here. Those are your used colors right here. So I went ahead, I'm going to undo that so you can see. I have it all selected, the outline and the fill, and right here on the X, I'm going to delete the fill. So now I just have this outline design. I could make it all a cut file and select all of it and say cut. And then I could decide here what type of thing I'm going to cut, fabric with fusible web maybe, tells me my settings. Then I would go up here to my file because I'm going to export it to my cutter. And I'm going to pretend connect. And it's hard to see. There's the heart. Oh, let me delete that heart. Hang on. So it'll show this better. And maybe I'll make this black. It might show up a little bit better. There we go. And then up here to file, export. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't give it a cut file. Go to properties. Call it a cut. There we go. So I didn't see my cutter there. Export to cutters. And then connect. And it will cut everything all at once. If I wanted to cut these individually, I would move them on my work page. I would separate them, and I'll show you that in just a second. Right here, it would cut the whole thing out of whatever color I'm cutting, which might look nice. And then I would use a transfer paper like I have on my little rose. I have this little sticky paper that pulls it off the mat on there. So you could cut it all at once, or you can do it separately if you put the parts in different places. Okay, so that's working with applique and a cutter. Now you don't see, and I didn't even go to the cutting mat at all, and it still did everything I needed it to do. If I wanted these to be individual, probably I would put them, if you make them different colors, let's see, these ones would all be one color. I could cut these all at once, maybe. Or I could cut one of them 3 times, because they're all the same shape, I believe. And then you can cut these separately. So you don't have to go to the cutting mat in your software. You can still get a cut file by choosing cut over here and then taking it to your cutter. So let me just change, I'm going to change some colors here. This one to that color. And let me move this really quick. This one to blue. That one can stay at black. And I'm going to make one of these red and move it over here. And then I have to select them again because they're not, since I made them stitches. Oh yeah, they are. Oh, there's that. Are there 4 of them? Yep. All right, so now if I go to my cutter, File, Export to Cutter, and connect. Okay. So I have, see how I have them listed over here? If these ones here are black, I'm going to select that. I'm going to select the ones I don't want to cut. There we go. And maybe this one. So if I wanted to cut just the blue one, I would select whatever one is the blue. I think that's the top one. So it would only cut this blue one. Once the blue one got done, I could move it to wherever I could move it on my cutting mat to where the red one is, come down here, delete that one, and it would move to that one. So I could cut them individually, even though they're all on the same page here. Everything's a different color. I'm going to have to do a live on the cutter, probably coming up maybe June or July, and show you how to do this separately like that, because I think it's a good skill to know. All right, so that's working with applique and getting a cut file. Kind of a big dump of things all at once. Let me go back here. The next thing I want to show you is working with Paint Stitch. If you have some graphics, photos, and things like this one here, even this one, this is one I took when I was traveling. And these are JPEGs. So you can double click on them, open it as Paint Stitch, and then it'll turn out like this. And it's a thread work of art. And you can select it. You can change your palettes over here. If maybe you use a marathon, it will change it for marathon. You can change the blending, maybe high blending or low. Maybe you don't want it to blend so much. You want more individual colors. Maybe you don't want any smoothing. You can change the contrast, the brightness, make it a little brighter. And then you can stitch these out. And I'm going to turn to the camera really quick because I'll show you what they look like. Here we go. So this is the whole flower, but I did it this part in photo. I can't think of it. In the photo stitch, and then this side over here is the paint stitch. I overlaid the paint stitch on top of this before I stitched it. And then I showed this in the beginning, right? This is paint stitch as well. So you can do other things with them. If you wanted to, let me go back to the software, hold on. If you wanted to manipulate this anyway, it can't be changed unless you save it as a JEF file. Right now, I can't I don't think I can even use the knife tool on it. If I made a line here, I don't think, let me see. I don't know if it'll let me cut this or not. Like I usually make it into a JEF, but you know, let's see. Yeah, so it doesn't give me the knife feature. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this as a JEF. So here I'm going to go to File, Save As, because I want to save it as a JEF. I'm just going to save it to my desktop. I'm just going to name it FL1 and save. Then I'm going to go back and let's see, now that I think it's still, yep, I have to bring it back in, even though I named it. I have to open it again. So I'm going to go back here to open on the top here, and I'm going to go to desktop, and too many things on my desktop. Here it is here. double click, and it should now, let's see if it gives me the cut, unless I need a separate page. Yep, I do need to open it on a new page. Hold on. Let's go back to File or Open. Oh, it saved it with that line in it. That's weird. All right, let's delete this line and let's create a new one. There we go. And then I'm going to select both. Oh, it's not giving. Usually you can save it as a GIF and open it again. Maybe it's not saving as a GIF. You know, when you do these 20 minutes earlier, they all work perfect. And then when you come in here, it's like, nope, not going to. So let me try again. I'm going to do save as. And oh, you know what? I didn't change it to a draw. I changed it from a draw to a GIF. That's what I didn't do. There we go. Let's save that. Let's close this one. Let's open the new one. We're good with that. This one here. There it is. This one here. This was the draw. I can't read either today, I guess. There we go. Now you can see over here all the parts. If there's anything I wanted to delete or change, I have the parts over there. But if I want to do something fun with this, which I did in that other one, if I want to just cut this, I can use my knife feature, make my line, right-click knife, and it cuts a hole in the center here. And then I just have to move it apart, which is the more difficult thing to do. There we go. So now I have two parts. So I could do other things with that. These make great texture for other things. Yeah, Laura, what I was doing was I wasn't reading. When I made the first one and saved it, I didn't save it as a GIF. That happens when I'm talking and trying to look at my comments at the same time. So what you would do is after you create it, go up to File, Save As. You're going to use your drop down here and do a GIF file, because you can only manipulate Paint Stitch at this time as a GIF file. Okay, when it's a draw file, it stays together, and you can't really, you can only change the parameters that are in properties. You can't go inside it and do any changes. But this would be really cool. I mean, this would make a really cool wallet. I mean, every time I make one of these, that's why I take a lot of pictures of flowers and things like that. And as we go along, I'm going to show you in another video on how I used my Paint Stitch to make a tile scene. So I have a really pretty tile scene that I worked on. All right, and I know we're going to be running long today. Let me see what this is looking like. Maybe a little bit longer. Okay. And okay, so we did Paint Stitch, we did applique, and then one last thing for the holiday. Let me see if, I don't know if it's on, I didn't put it on this one. Maybe it's on my other computer. I think we did something with an egg the other day. And then I'm going to take this because I want to use that shape for the egg. And then what I want to do is just delete. I just want to delete the inside of this egg because I don't need it. I only need the outside. And select it again and delete that. I just need the outside. So if I wanted to make this a totally filled egg with maybe a step fill, but not one with a design, there we go, and not one with gradient. So I'm going to make gradient 0. There we go. So now it's all one color. I could use that knife tool to cut it in half and make an open, make two pieces. But you can also, I'm going to make it a pretty Easter color. So we'll make it, let's go down here. We'll make it this like lighter pink and maybe a brighter pink outline. There we go. My outline, I want to change that to a satin cereal. Under outline, satin cereal, and I want to make it 3.0 mm. So it's a little bit wider so you guys can see that, how that looks. Then I want to put a little bunny in there. So I can go up to my tools, and right here is our clip art library. You can go insert clip art. And I think if I search rabbit, there we go. There's one right here. And I'm going to click on it, click insert, and then I'm going to click and drag. Maybe he should be about that big. There we go. And I'm just going to set him on top of there like that. And now I can go ahead and make any changes to the bunny that I want. Maybe I don't want, I have to do ungroup. Maybe I don't want the inner of those ears, or I want them to be different. I can take those away. Maybe I don't want that outline. So I'm going to delete the outline when it's selected. Here's the outline at the bottom. Now that's a cool thing. I could take this outline. What could I make out of that outline? I could make a cut file. I could make an applique. All right there, it gave me, well, this would be my applique, but I could make a cut file out of that if I didn't even want to make an applique or anything. So there's my bunny. He's looking good. I'm going to take this away. I might change out his bow to something a different color. Maybe I would make him a different color. I don't know what color. What color are bunnies? Maybe purple. He could be purple. And I think his little bow should be this little yellow color like that. There we go. And then the outline. There we go. The underlay of it. There we go. So now I have a little Easter egg thing that I can use. Now this is a pretty big one. This is 7 by 5. So let's say that's way too big. I'm just going to select it like this. And I have 2 or 3 ways to change it. I can click right here on the edge and drag it in. I've got everything selected. It will get smaller and it changes the stitches for me. I do have some weird things happening here. I'll have to fix that. When I took his little inner ears out, there's some underlay there that I'm going to have to take away. Or I could come up here to scale, and with the whole thing selected again, I could go up to scale, click proportional, and maybe I want to make him just 20% smaller, or let's see, he's 5 inches high. Yeah, about 20% smaller. I would put 80 in there, just in the top one, and it, because proportional is, and there it sized it down for me just perfectly. Now in here, oh, those little things went away, so that's good. And of course, if I don't like this background, I could make a different background in there. Maybe I would want the background to be an applique, something like that. All right. Think for a moment, because I'm really close to the end. Is there a question that you have? If you're just trying the software for the first time, if you have a question, pop it up now. I'm gonna look at the lettering just a little bit here. Let's go back to the bunny, because I think that would be kind of cool. If we go into our lettering, say I wanted to put, Happy Easter, Happy and then Easter at the bottom. What I could do is I clicked on my text, right? I'm going to just click right here. That's where my text is going to start. Here's where I find my different fonts that I want to use. And I don't know what I want. I think I'm going to come up here and use probably a pretty straightforward one like that, or maybe this one. All right, in here I'm going to type my text. I'm going to put happy. Oh wait, did I want that a capital? All I have to do is use my arrow key and go back, delete it, change it, click select, and I could just pop it up right on top here. Happy. And then at the bottom, I could put Easter. If I wanted to curve that, while it's selected, go back to your text, come right in here where it says horizontal. You can do on an arc, or another thing you could do is you could come into envelope. Let me move my design to the side and down. You could pick one of these pre-shapes like that, and it will automatically make it in those neat little curves for you. And it curves the whole letter instead of just putting it on a curve. So these are kind of fun to play with. And the values here are what changes your how much curve is in your piece. So once I have it where I want it, I can just pop it down here like that. And now I have a cute little embroidery. So Cindy, for the clip art, you would go under tools, and then it would come down, and then you'd see clip art library. Unfortunately, when I stream with my Mac, that top toolbar where it shows file, edit, view, stitches, window, and help, they don't show. I think occasionally they have, but I'm not sure what the reasoning is. But under tools, you have your clip art library, and you also have insert symbol. Oh, hi Heather. We were texting the other day. Okay. All right. Anyone else have a question? I'm going to go back to the camera. Here we go. And get my little thing up here. There we go. All right, I'm checking to see if there's any more questions. Hopefully that will get you excited about the software. I always tell people, jump in and try it. You know what? If something goes awry on the page, go up to that little X for the paper you have open and close it and start again. There's so many things to play with. The shapes are in there. You have the clip art library. You have your little icons that you can bring in. There's so many fun things to play with. And you can draw in there too with the drawing tool. If you're good at drawing, you can make your own things. So that's always fun. Hopefully I covered enough to show you, you could make a little Easter thing for, even if you didn't use the egg part, you could put a little bunny on a napkin, or you can put it on a towel with a little Happy Easter on there. So some fun things like that. All right, everyone. I think I'm going to let you go. I've been on here for quite a bit. Check back. I am on again tomorrow. I'm going to do the M17. I think I'm doing something with decorative stitches. I can't remember what I was showing the last time. Oh yeah. Oh, make sure you come and check it out because I'm showing tapering stitches. Tapering stitches. So tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time, right back here on this page, I will have the. I'll be using the CM17 with tapering stitches. Okay. All right, everyone. Have a great evening. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.